Well, now, ain't that a bit of a twist? Hello there, I'm Scotty, you're not, and I'm here to give you my review for Joker 2. That's right, much like with Beetlejuice 2, I refuse to call it by the stupid ass name they gave it. Just give it regular names. We don't need Beetlejuice 2024 AD. We don't need Joker full of a deuce in our pants. I don't care. Okay? I don't care about your stupid names you give them. Just give them the number. Okay? So I made no bones about the fact that I hate the first Joker movie. It's not Joker. It's this guy with mental issues killing people while he happens to be dressed like a clown. They pepper a few things into it, such as Thomas Wayne. The murder of the Waynes happens at the end of that last one, which, again, what have you. And, yeah, it's in Gotham, although here they keep saying it's the state of New York, which doesn't make any sense. Is Gotham supposed to be in New York? Is that what they're saying? The place he's at is Arkham. They mention Gotham City, but they also say state of New York. So Gotham is in New York then? I always thought Gotham was in Chicago. At least that's what all the movies would have you believe. The Snyder movies, the Dark Knight movies. So, hated the first one. I did 2 reviews. In hindsight, I should have waited till this year to revisit the first one. But I wanted to give it a second chance pretty quick. I'm not going through that movie again. And I told you guys that didn't like the movie. The only 2 things that I liked of that movie were Joaquin Phoenix's performance and the sort of relationship that was building between Arthur Fleck and Zazie Bates' character, Sophie. Only for it to be revealed that that was all in his head and they were never together. And I was like, well, that's out the window then. Right? And the movie ended not in a cliffhanger way. He's just running down the halls of Arkham, you know. And that was that. Todd Phillips has said before he never intended for this to go any further. It was supposed to be a standalone, and then the film inexplicably made over $1 billion. Some pretty stupid people out there. No offense, but come on. I will go out on a limb to say that the first film is not a badly made movie. I would say the same about this one. It's not a badly made movie. It just didn't feel like a Joker story. And a lot of people came to the movie's defense. Well, actually, he's not the real Joker. He's the guy who would inspire the actual Joker. That's what the end of the movie was telling us. And he has to believe he's going to inspire the real Joker. Okay, cool. And if that was what was intended, they threw it out the window when they announced not only are they making a sequel, but Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn. Well, if this is not the Joker, why is Harley Quinn here? Now, I'll talk about it when I get to it, that I have it's a bit of a leap, but it's a theory. We'll get to it. As to how that would work. But I digest. And it's going to be a musical. And everybody was just like, that's where I lost people. Lost me. Well, you lost me yet. We're making a sequel. So obviously I didn't go to the theaters to see this. Even if I did have a theater, I wouldn't have. Well, yeah, I would. I would have gone to see it so I could, for review purposes. Like, buying it for review purposes. You know? Color me surprised if I didn't like this movie just a little bit. A little bit. It has a certain charm to it. I know it's not a good movie, but like the first one, which is also not a good movie to me, this is... I can also not say that it's not a well-made movie. It is a very well-made movie. The shots look good. The musical sequences are great. The acting is pretty good, especially from Joaquin Phoenix, who could have easily phoned it in here, but he didn't. He's delivering a pretty good performance. And I actually like the musical sequences pretty well. They don't really add to anything. They're supposed to tell the story, and really it's just... The story of this is the court case for Arthur Fleck, which really goes to show you, that's most of it. Your first part is in Arkham Asylum. These two characters are getting to know each other, and then we have the court case. And to me, that really feels like, well, the first one was supposed to be sound, we don't have a story to tell, what do we do? Well, he's going to have a court case, we'll do that. Or we're going to bring in Harley Quinn, we'll have them meet. So one half is like one movie of them meeting, the other half is this court case, and it's tied together by these musical numbers. Okay. Like I said, musical numbers are pretty good. I heard it was going to be a jukebox musical. Oh, great. We're going to have this pop style musical. We're going to wink at Lady Gaga. But no, it's all these old style songs like That's Entertainment. Those kind of old style 50s, maybe even older swinger type songs. And I think that fits this little Joker universe that they have. And I actually liked the first half of this movie with them meeting her and everything. And then at one point, there's a scene where he's doing an interview. So she's a patient. She's in here. She says she burned down a house and killed her parents or some shit. And she tells him this. And he's doing this interview where he starts singing a song to her. And it cuts to her standing in front of a electronics store, in front, when I had a bunch of those TVs. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, how's she out of Arkham? I don't think they should have showed her out of Arkham. Because this scene didn't really lend much to it anywhere. She breaks into the thing and steals the TV. Nothing comes of that. It's later revealed that she actually lied to Fleck, and that she has a degree in psychology or something like that, so she's leaning into that character. And it's revealed that she's actually a fan who saw his performance on the Murray Goldman show, whatever it was, the Robert De Niro talk show from the first one, and became obsessed with him. So she checked herself into Arkham, which you cannot do. Whoever wrote this movie, Arkham is a mental health facility for the criminally insane. Criminals. You can't just check yourself in and check yourself out like a regular mental hospital. That's not how that works. It's for the criminally insane. If you are criminally insane, you are thrown in there and a key is thrown out. Only way you're getting out is if you escape and then you're thrown back in by the Batman. You're not checking yourself in and out of a mental health facility for the criminally insane. An asylum for the criminally insane, you do not do that. I get what they were trying to do. Maybe don't make it Arkham then. Because Arkham is for the criminally insane. I'm a Batman guy. I know how that works. Okay? I mean, he got in there because he murdered a bunch of people. And she made up the story. She didn't do anything. She's just a fan that's obsessed with him. And checked herself into the hospital. Yeah. Like I said, the first half of this movie is actually pretty good. They have pretty decent chemistry, I think. And then we get to the court case. And then they did it again. Because we have Catherine Keener as his attorney who's trying to gaslight him into telling them that the Joker is a persona of his dissociative identity disorder, so that can get him off. Like, oh, he's not in control of himself. It's like Split, where they're trying to convince people that he wasn't, in his right mind. That was her whole defense. So, in that movie, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to have him do that. And to a point, he goes along with it. And then it's the defense lawyer. The assistant district attorney, Harvey Dent. And I went, nope, makes no sense. And what they do with this character also makes no sense. So we establish the first movie ends with the death of the Waynes. And this is just a little bit after that. Which means Bruce Wayne is a child. Harvey Dent has always been conceded to be at least, if not the same age, at least 10 years older than Bruce Wayne. Which means that Harvey Dent should be a teenager right now, in high school or early college. He should not be some guy who looks like he's 35, assistant district attorney. He's not even the full district attorney here. And he's in this courtroom. And I just went, because I didn't know who it was. Someone goes, Mr. Dent, you're a witness. I'm like, she didn't just say Dent, did she? Oh. I get you want to pepper in things, but you say, oh, no, it's actually Harvey's father. The Wikipedia article, the IMDb, he's credited as Harvey Dent. And the ending of this movie solidifies that it's supposed to be the Harvey Dent. So, throughout the court case, like I said, Catherine Kinder's trying to convince them that the Joker is a persona of his dissociative identity disorder, DID, excuse me. And I liked when they brought in the witnesses. You got Sophie, or Zazie Bates, talking about it. Like, oh, he threatened your daughter? No, he was just sort of just standing there. But really, he did not do anything. He just sort of was standing in their apartment, and she flipped out. Did you call the police? No. Well, if you called the police, then he wouldn't have killed. Those people wouldn't have been murdered. And I'm just like, yeah, they would have. Because you call the police, there's a man in my apartment. It's trespassing, but he'd had an overnight stay. And he'd still be able to do what he was going to do. I just don't think that would hold up. But anyway, then you get to the little dude. Of the two people he worked with, was it like wasn't a taxi thing? What was it that he worked for in the first one? I don't remember. But he killed the one guy, and the little guy he let go because he liked him. And they revealed that he was in the police station interrogation room the entire night in police protection because they were afraid that he was going to come after him. Even though he said he let him go, it wasn't going to hurt him. He even says, I wasn't going to hurt you. I told you I liked you. At one point, he dismisses Catherine Keener, makes himself his own lawyer, which he does not have a law degree and cannot legally do, I don't think. But they allow it for some reason. And the judge is like, I don't want this to become some kind of circus. Well, it became that when you allowed someone from a mental institution to be his own lawyer. It's during this speech, he's giving this whole big old speech, he's talking, everything. I also want to point out that the time period of these movies are not known, but it's early enough for Batman to be a child in the first one, still this one, I think, or Bruce Wayne, I should say. Smoking indoors is another hint that this is a time a far gone era, because you don't see that anymore. Smoking indoors, the smoking in the asylum, the smoking in the courtroom. That gives you a sense that this is not modern day. There's no cell phone. It's all very normal. He uses a payphone to call. They have answering machines, much like the first one. It's very much. They have CRT TVs, so it's not modern day. Kind of like that idea of being. It's kind of like the Batman '89 sort of thing, where it could be any time period. Is it the '80s or is it the '50s? It's very neo-noir like that. This is very much trying to go back to that, I think. And even with this part, I'm like, okay, this is actually fine. Maybe the musical parts were helping me enjoy this a little bit more. Honestly, if it wasn't for the musical, if this was not a musical, I don't think I could sit through it, because they decided to make this 2+ hours. I think you could have squeezed this into 90 minutes. A movie that's essentially about nothing from a script you had to pull out of your ass because you didn't have any plans for continuation. And you make it a 2+ hour movie, 2-hour, 18-minute movie with credits. I think you could have whittled it down to a 90 minutes, especially if you didn't really have a story to tell. But we get to the end of the trial, his closing statements, where he renounces the Joker as a persona, and that it's all him, he did it, which pisses off Harley Quinn, or Lee, as she's called. Her name is Lee, goddammit. Lee, throughout the entire film, which again leads into my theory. And she gets all pissed and leaves. And he calls her to tell her they're about to, announce the verdict. She doesn't show up. And as they're announcing the verdict, which of course is guilty of all charges, because he kind of broke what they were trying to do. He ruined what they were trying to do with the gaslighting and the ID and everything. Which, this is supposed to be like a bygone era in like the 70s or something. I don't know. I could see this as like the 70s in a way. I don't know. And I could see, I don't know how the ID would be even on the table. I don't know if that was really known. Again, I wasn't born yet, so. As this is going on, a car bomb goes off as they're announcing the verdict, blowing up the place. And so there's a couple of things that are nods to other parts of Batman or DC's lore that are really done technically very obscurely and not off screen, but it's more in the background than anything, because the thing explodes, they show Arthur, the camera pans to Dent, and then quickly pans back to Arthur as he goes to leave. And they show Dent like this, and I had to rewind it. I'm like, they didn't focus much on him. You rewind it, you pause it, and yep, half his face has been scarred. And I went, there you go. You lost me again. You had me. You lost me. Why is he Two-Face before Bruce Wayne is Batman? That makes no sense. The only thing I could think of is that maybe the studio had him write it in there. Oh, the attorney fighting should be Harvey Dent. And hey, turn him into Two-Face so that maybe we could do a spin-off movie with him and Two-Face. Okay, but it makes no sense in the continuity of Batman. If you're thinking that this, if after the first one, people were saying, what, this Joker's going to be 80 years old by the time he fights Batman, what is that going to be? If he's 30, he's going to be in his 60s or something, 50s, something. I don't know. And so Arthur escapes. He finds Lee on those steps, the steps from the first one, and she basically pushes him away. And this is where I gotta mention something. leads into my theory. He's like, no, we're having a baby. So earlier on, we have a sex scene, and it's not a heavily drawn out sex scene. This is one of the most accurate sex scenes I've seen in a movie ever. Most sex scenes are drawn out. We get slow motion. We get the humping. Sometimes it's fast stuff. You know, they draw it out. They give you the nudity and everything. They don't do that here. It's very quick. And it's done tastefully enough where it's like, yes, this makes sense. Arthur would be a virgin. So having an early delivery would make sense, because it's very much they get to going, it starts, and then he's done. It makes very sense. It makes very much sense for a first time. No, that didn't happen to me. Shut up. That first time, I actually didn't finish, but you don't need to know that. Anyway, it's very quick, very done. It's done very quick. It works. So here's my theory. Well, let me get to the ending of this movie. So he gets captured again, taken back to Arkham, all that. And he's told he has a visitor, and then he bumps into this other inmate who says he has a joke for him. He starts telling the joke, which ends with, you get what you fucking deserve. He stabs him in the gut, which was foreshadowed in a fantasy sequence where he was singing with Lady Gaga earlier. And then the Joker, and Arthur dies, while this guy, far in the background, scars up gives himself the Glasgow smile, as it's called. It's done almost, it's done well enough where you kind of have to rewind to see what's going on, because I saw it and they're focusing on Arthur dying. I'm like, what is he doing in the background? And I rewound it and I paid attention to him. Oh, he's doing this. Well, the research would tell you that at the end of the first one, Todd Phillips wanted Arthur to do this. And Christopher Nolan said, no, you're not doing that. That's my thing. You're not doing that. Well, fast forward to now, Christopher Nolan is no longer associated with Warner Brothers. So they did it. But not to Arthur, to someone else. And maybe this is supposed to insinuate that this would be the future Joker. I don't know. But Christopher Nolan was right. You shouldn't do this, because even if this is supposed to be the future Joker, are we supposed to believe this is the Joker from the Dark Knight? So this exists in the Dark Knight's universe, which collectively would put this in the 80s. Because I think the 80s are when the Waynes were killed in the Dark Knight's universe. I think. Or is it the 90s? How old is Bruce Wayne supposed to be? In his 30s? I'm assuming. Late 20s? In those movies? So if this is supposed to be the origin to that Joker, it then gives a big middle finger to the Dark Knight, which I said before is a good movie, but it's not the greatest comic movie ever made. I have issues with it, whatever. When I used to revisit it, we'll get on to that. But one of the biggest things about that movie, about the Joker in that movie, not just Heath Ledger's performance, is that those scars. Every time he tells someone about the scars, it's a different story. Because Nolan intended for it to be a mystery. Because it would then make the Joker very mysterious, very quirky, never really knowing how it actually happened. You do this, and it then takes all that mystery, all everything, and just throws it in the trash, throws it in the shitter, and says, oh, he just killed another inmate in a mental hospital and did it himself. Sure, one of those stories was that he did it himself, but I don't know. And that's how the movie ends. But yeah. Now, my theory here is that the baby that Lee is pregnant with will grow up to be the actual Harley Quinn. It'll be a female. It'll be... Who says that Harleen Quinzel isn't also the other baby's name? You know? Maybe she's Lee Quinzel, and the Harleen is the daughter. They have the same name, but they go by different... Harley, Lee... Yeah. Who knows? There was a way you could fix this ending that I would have liked. So, one of the things from the last film that kind of interested me was the whole Joker inspiring people thing. They kind of go into that because it was two of them that were inspired by him that did the car bomb and saved him, but he quickly pushes them away. But I don't think they touched on it enough in this movie. They could have. That was something that was left out there. You know, the Waynes were killed and all that stuff. So let's say that one of the people, let's say that the guy that shanks Arthur, is the guy who committed those murders. Does this and he escapes. It's revealed, oh, this mental patient, Jack Napier. And he's never found. He then meets up with a mob boss named Carl Grissom. And the rest, they say, is history. Now, I said this would put this in the 80s for something, but you could change that. So, here's how I would change that. Get rid of the Dent thing. Just make it a different district attorney doing the trial. And for this inmate, cast Ray Nicholson, Jack Nicholson's son, to play the role. That would be perfect. Chef's kiss. Casting for him to play the young Jack Napier in this. It makes sense. You know? And you could set that up like, oh, Arthur inspired him, but then the whole speech that he did kind of just do it away. Because they do say he has scars. Get rid of the Glasgow smile shit, because that's not what that Bruno Joker was like at all. And then when he does get scarred, the Joker makeup then comes from somewhere. There was this guy I saw on TV. Arthur. He was on a talk show. He killed the talk show host and inspired a bunch of crazies, including myself. And, well, he turned out he wasn't the guy I thought he was, so I had to let him go. You know. That sort of thing. Work. Timeline-wise, I don't know. I mean, Nicholson was technically in his 50s, but I think, by the time he did that movie, so that could work. I think Rand Nicholson's in his 30s. So timeline-wise, by the time that Batman becomes Keaton's age, it could match up. Just saying. And due to the fact that you never know what year it is here, what year it is in the Burton movies, could work. I'm just saying. Surprisingly, this movie is middle of the road. I don't know why, but for some reason I liked it better than the first one. I don't know. Purely the musical stuff got me through it, because if it wasn't a musical, I probably wouldn't like it as much. It's still going to go in my worst of the year list because it's on there. It knocked off another one that was at the top, because I do think there's one movie, the movie that was at number 10 is better than this. So this has to be put on the top of that list. But yeah, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was. And in my opinion, at least, it's more enjoyable for me to get through than the first one, which I do not like at all. Is it it's a bit better movie? Probably not, but the musical aspect makes it easier to get through this movie. If it didn't have the musical elements in it, it probably would be in the same kind of category as the first one. I'm just like waiting to get through it. Otherwise, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Joker 2? Leave me in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scott, and I'll see you in the next one.